What do Davis Mills and Ludacris have in common? They're both gunning for that number one spot. Might have dated myself there. Davis Mills stole the show today. It was supposed to be CJ Stroud Day. However, Davis Mills, he was sent to the podium before, and he was taking reps before. Davis Mills getting first-team reps. Could Davis Mills really be competing for the starting job despite the fact CJ Stroud was selected number 2 overall? If you ask him, he says you bet your ass. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we
supposed to be CJ Stroud Day. CJ Stroud getting the work in with his teammates, not just the rookies, all the veterans. But Davis Mills was taking the first team reps, and Davis Mills went up to the podium before CJ Stroud, and Davis Mills had the quote of the day when he was asked about his current role. He was asked by John McClain, and this is what Davis Mills, the current starting quarterback for the Houston Texans, had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm competing for that starting job. I mean, since I've been drafted in the NFL, I've been in a competition. I don't think anything's going to change, but I mean, it's been great getting to know CJ so far.
Okay. Competing for that number one spot. You heard it from the man himself, Davis Mills. Is this a real quarterback competition? It is the locker room number one source for Texans daily digital content. Davis Mills says he's here for the starting spot. Don't blame him for saying it. That is the right thing to say. That is the right mindset to have. But could we really see a situation where Davis Mills is the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans? Is this a true quarterback competition? Sometimes when a young quarterback is there, organizations will say, well, this is a true quarterback competition. Everybody's competing. We don't have any starters. We got 22 open spots. You know they're not telling the truth, though. Because a lot of times that rookie gets outplayed in the preseason and he's still out there on week 1. Is that going to be the case with CJ Stroud? You would think. You would probably hope so. But Davis Mills says he's here to compete. I do think this new rule makes it to where Davis Mills, if you're looking at it from a Texans point of view, having Davis Mills on your team, you could do a lot worse. As a second or third quarterback, that's about what Davis Mills is. I know he's a polarizing topic here because he was thrown to the Wolves early and it was post Deshaun Watson, but he wasn't even supposed to be on the field as early as he was when Tyrod Taylor got hurt. It's a third-round pick. Third-round pick ends up being a backup. It's not necessarily a bad pick. So we're kind of getting a taste of what Davis Mills is. This is, though, just an OTA. This is just a little mini camp. So I would not make too much of it, but Davis Mills says he's here to stay. If Davis Mills wins this gig, I mean, I'm sure, I guess stranger things have happened. It's just not a situation where I heard the comparison to San Francisco where Jimmy Garoppolo started over Trey Lance. I don't look at this as that type of situation. I don't think it's comparable. Trey Lance was a little bit raw. He played 1 year or one game the year before they drafted him, and he wasn't as experienced. He was a little bit raw. Jimmy Garoppolo was probably a little bit more polished, a little bit, more. He knew the offense. He'd been in the offensive system for multiple years. Davis Mills is learning this system just like CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud is a battle-tested, experienced guy that's extremely polished. I don't think raw would be the word to describe CJ Stroud. There might be some stuff that he needs to work on, but it's not any different than the stuff that Davis Mills has to work on. But CJ Stroud, considered more of a polished guy, a prototypical NFL type guy. So the comparison to Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, I don't think it makes sense. I don't think there's a similarity there. So I would say, sure, you can say it's a quarterback competition. I would be shocked if CJ Stroud weren't the week 1 starter. And I don't think the comparison to the Jimmy G situation holds much weight. According to, I think Aaron Wilson said that Mills is getting trade interest, but not available. Okay. Like what's the interest, you know? I mean, what interest are we talking with Davis Mills? Like what teams are dying for Davis Mills? I'd say later on in camp, maybe that happens. Not available. So what are the Texans going to like hang up the phone if someone calls them about Davis Mills? I didn't make a lot out of this one. It was actually rephrased because I think the original tweet said that Stroud was getting interest, but much like D'Amico not being interested in the gig, I don't put much stock in that. There's trade interest. Okay, why? He's unavailable. Okay, why? Whatever. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of dialogue. What say you? Is Davis Mills truly competing for this gig? Sure, but CJ Stroud's going to get this gig. This is nothing like Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. CJ is going to be fine. We heard from him. He hit it out of the park. He did not disappoint. Subscribe, like, right along with me when it comes to this Texans thing, no matter what, whether Davis Mills does start, can't even say that with a straight face, or whether CJ Stroud starts. We're all in this together. And remember, he's like Ludacris, coming for that number one spot.
Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop.